I guess, the nitty-gritty stuff. You're married to
Marilee. Marilee is a police lieutenant with the police department, 30-year veteran as well. And this is her third go-round. She commands our special events unit, so she's responsible for overseeing the safety and security of Blink, Taste, Oktoberfest, all the Reds games, which we know have been very successful. So she is very established in her own right, and just the fact that she's retiring this year out of our special events unit that's going to leave a big hole in the police department. It absolutely will.
Your absence will also leave a big hole.
Well,
why go? Why go now?
Opportunity for one. It is hard. I mean, this is hard. I signed, took in my retirement papers to the chief today, and watched him sign those, and 30 years of wearing this uniform, and I will tell you, they always ask you, did you always know you wanted to be a police officer? I always knew I always did, and I always wanted to be a Cincinnati police officer. So when I was selected into the academy back in 1989, graduated in 90, I mean, that's the pinnacle of policing, to be a Cincinnati police officer. I did not go in with aspirations to move up through the ranks. I did not go in with aspirations to become an assistant chief. It just was a natural progression. So what I can say is I've achieved everything and more that what I wanted as a young boy.
Did you ever want to be chief here?
I've had those thoughts that if the opportunity presented itself, but we know that becoming chief of a major city organization is there's a lot of challenges. It's multifaceted on when and how that happens, and what I've seen over the years that timing is everything. The stars have to align for you to ascend into that seat, and the stars are aligning right now for me for Virginia Beach, and Virginia Beach is a wonderful place, and I'm going to be very happy there, and I hope to be very successful, and it's a good team out there. I've already talked to several of the individuals, and this is the future for Paul Neudigate.
You've accomplished a lot in your 30 years career here.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you most proud of as a sworn officer?
I think what I'm proud of is that the Cincinnati Police Department plays such a large part in overall city vitality. And we know where we were years ago. We would not be sitting here in this wonderful park by the river that has become a jewel of the city of Cincinnati. We would not be able to go into uptown and be able to dine at one of these fabulous restaurants. We know what the city looked like 15, 20 years ago when the carpet rolled up at 5 o'clock. And there's a lot of people that played a huge role in making that happen, but the police played a huge role. And I think I'm very proud to see that when I go around the country now, people talk about Cincinnati as a wonderful destination location. They talk about over the Rhine, they talk about the dining, and I think it makes me happy to know that the police department, and being a part of the department myself, played a role in helping Cincinnati transform into what it is today.
How did that happen? How did the police department play a role? What do you think?
We strive hard to stabilize crime, and we know over the last several years crime is on a decrease. We know that 2020 is an anomaly. Crime's up. Let's take that back. Crime in general is only up slightly. Violent crime, shootings are up, and it's something that we have to get a handle on. But I'm very proud that when I took over the patrol seat coming out of 2015. There really wasn't a violent crime strategy, not a solid one. We had 479 people shot in 2015, and over the last 4 years, we were able to reduce that almost 30%. So that's a whole lot of families that are not suffering with victimization, individuals that are not, suffering from lingering gunshot wounds. It doesn't impact the community. And let's face it, violent crime scares people away from cities. So the police department has a huge role in successively mitigating violent crime to ensure the economic vitality of the city. And I think that we have done an absolutely outstanding job for the last several years in driving those numbers down, making sure that Kroger and Fortune 500 companies want to relocate their people here. So I think we're very proud that we are a part of that.
So what will you miss most about Cincinnati?
It's going to be the people. I mean, and that's what they say when they retire, and you ask folks when they retire from the PD, there's a lot of things that you don't miss. There are all the negatives that do come with it, and they are, but it's the people, it's the camaraderie. I'm walking in here right now and thinking that this is quite possibly going to be the last day that I wear this uniform. So, I
today.
I wore it today specifically for our interview because this could be the very last day. I'm going to start running some time. I've got a lot of things to prepare for a transition, and this may very well be it.
So how's that feel?
It's surreal. It's sad. You become one with, it does become your persona, that you are a Cincinnati police officer. So it's a struggle right now.
Have there ever been moments when you haven't been proud to wear that uniform?
Never. No matter what the criticism, no matter, where we've been, we are a top-tier, professional, caring, empathetic organization. There's not one day that I've not been proud to wear this uniform.
You have seen this department change, though. I can go back. I mean, I grew up in this community. I'm a Finneytown girl. I go back to 2000. This police department has changed dramatically.
It has.
Tell me where it was to where it is now.
It has changed, and many times it's to no fault of what we were doing at the time. Prior to 2000, 2001, we really believed in a zero tolerance model. That was what many police departments felt would reduce crime. And what I will offer is, having been part of that, growing up through the 90s, having been part of Vortex that was really formed around mass arrest in a certain location to try to drive down crime, specifically OTR. It has short-term results. Long-term, it really disenfranchised us between the community. At one point, they really got tired of us. They got tired of the police department. And in 2001, that was evident. They let us know that our current policing model was no longer acceptable to the community and that we had to change. And what I will say is that we have embraced that change. We've become a national model. We've reduced crime since 2001. Not completely the police department. It is a partnership between many different factors. The crime across the board is down about 38%. We've reduced overall arrests during that time by about 50%. So we've become much more refined, much more laser focused, data driven, evidence based. We look at best practices. If there's somebody out there that is doing something better than we are, we're not afraid to steal it. And we will bring that strategy back to Cincinnati. And what we found out is, and I think you just saw it with the demonstrations we had here leading into the riots, that ours was very short in duration, much more contained, unlike some other cities, because I think that we have, we've gained some ground and some trust in the eyes of certain people in the community that we are a changed police department. And they talk about police reform. I really don't like that word, because I think it intimates that we've been sitting on our laurels all these years, which is absolutely not true. Policing is a constant evolution, and we're always willing to evolve. So there's things that will come out of the circumstances around George Floyd and the protests now that will spur the next evolution of policing, and we'll be on the forefront of it.
Okay, so I don't like the word reform, defund, rethink, reimagine, whatever term you want to use. When you hear people talk about what they'd like to see in police departments, what are the things that you see that that could make sense. This, so social workers. What are the few things that you think, you know what, this would make sense in Cincinnati. This would make sense as I go forward too.
Many of the things that they talk about when defunding the police, and what I have to offer is, it's not an either or. It really needs to be and. Policing and social services, policing and homeless outreach. Are there many things that we respond on that probably fit in better places? Absolutely. But until that model is established and there is a smooth transition, the police are still going to be those first responders. And we don't want to further harm the community by having an impact in the quality of service that we provide. I was asked the other day, do you think that homeless outreach should be taken completely out of the hands of the police department and have another entity? And I really don't, because we're still going to interact with those individuals on a daily basis. And we have officers that have very established relationships that are of a assisting, compassionate nature. It's an and, it's not an either or. And unfortunately, when you talk about defunding, it's going to require additional funding. It's going to be the exact opposite. We would love to continue to work with our social service providers. I mean, we do it already. They talk about mental health. We already have them embedded, mobile crisis teams, in 3 of our 5 districts, where they go out and they interact and respond to individuals that are struggling with, psychological imbalance. And when they need the police, then they call us. Many of the things that they are asking for are already being done. And that's one of the things that I took out of the, our riots, when, they're coming to the district and they're asking for certain things and they're making demands. We already do the vast majority of them. Where we have faltered, and probably where we can do better, is making sure the community is educated to exactly how good your Cincinnati Police Department is.
And that you already have those
Yes.
mobile crisis units in place and are working with.
And
I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Divert for, domestic violence. One of our best partners is Women Helping Women. If we respond to a domestic violence incident, they send a social worker to the scene to help assess long-term care. Many of the things that they are looking are already a national model within the city of Cincinnati.